Cashen was deep in his morning ritual, black coffee in hand, eyes skimming the sports section, when Isidora's voice sliced through the quiet hum of the kitchen. Without ceremony, she sat across from him, her eyes, unreadable and cold, fixed on his. "Cashen," she said, voice clipped, "put the paper down, we need to talk." He lowered it slowly, expecting a trivial complaint, maybe a routine disagreement, but what followed landed like a bolt from a clear sky. "I'm leaving you, I want a divorce." The air thickened. For a beat, silence took hold, dense and electric, like the stillness before a storm. Cashen's face stayed composed, honed by years of calculated restraint, but beneath the mask, his mind reeled, a cocktail of betrayal, anger, and disbelief surged within him. "That's it?" he asked, voice low, disbelief laced with bitter irony. Isidora didn't flinch, her gaze held a quiet, weary finality. "Yes, I'm done. You've been gone from this relationship longer than I can measure." He leaned back, letting her words settle like ash. He looked at her, really looked, and saw not the woman he once loved, but a closed chapter written in permanent ink. In the silence that followed, something shifted, not desperation, not pleading, strategy. The seeds of retaliation began to take root. Later, Cashen stood in the doorway of his private study, sunlight cutting harsh lines across his desk. Each step forward was methodical, like a chess move toward inevitable checkmate. He sat, reached for a letter pad and the sleek pen gifted by a long-gone mentor. His hands were steady, outwardly, inwardly, a storm brewed cold and precise. He began to write. "Dear Lysander Wolf. Thank you indeed, and thank God Isidora is finally out of my life." He paused, lips curling in the ghost of a smirk. From his wallet, he withdrew a lottery ticket, purchased on impulse the night before, a forgotten token of hope. He slid it beneath the letter's final lines. "Perhaps, if luck finds you, the winnings will cover the cost of loving a woman who's bled trust dry. Good luck, Cashen." He read it aloud, each word deliberate, savoring the weight of their meaning. There was a dark poetry to it, vindication, dressed as civility. He sealed the envelope, stepped into the kitchen, and held it out. "Isidora," he said, voice low and razor-sharp, "make sure this reaches him. I don't trust you not to tamper with it." Her face twisted, surprise, anger, but she snatched it from his hand. "You think I'm that naive?" she snapped. But he was already moving past her, the balance of power shifting beneath their feet. "Pack your things," he said, cool and final. "You're done here, and I won't let your betrayal cost me anything more." Outside, the world continued unfazed, but inside Cashen's carefully controlled kingdom, retribution had found its first breath. Back in his study, the door clicked shut behind him. He sank into his leather chair. The envelope was gone, the decision made. He picked up his phone and dialed a familiar number. "Quentin, it's Cashen," he said, voice calm as steel. "I need you to start the process. She's gone, and I want a restraining order in place, today." On the other end, Quentin Drake, longtime friend and now one of the top family lawyers in the city, responded with measured concern. "I'm sorry you're going through this," he said, "but if she's crossed a line, we move fast. I'll be in the office first thing, start gathering everything, accounts, assets, the works." Cashen nodded, already scanning the mental ledger of their life, what was shared, what was his, what she would never touch again. "I'll be ready," he said, "tell me everything I need." As Quentin listed the steps, Cashen took notes with sharp precision. This wasn't heartbreak anymore, this was war, and he intended to win. Moments after the call ended, a knock came at the study door. Merrill Sauer stepped in, his new executive assistant, unflappable as ever. "Mr. Boss," she said with quiet efficiency, "your schedule's finalized. There's a board meeting in 45 minutes, urgent." Cashen gave a slow nod, his voice steady, his mind already 10 steps ahead. "Clear everything else. Today, we begin again, sir," Marigold said, placing a tablet on his desk with a soft thud. Cashen's gaze shifted from the device to her eyes, which held a subtle concern he didn't miss. "Thank you, Marigold," he replied, his voice even. "Ensure all my calls are prioritized today. I need every document related to our joint finances organized and ready. There can be no room for error." Marigold nodded, her expression a mixture of professionalism and restrained empathy. "Understood, Mr. Boss. I've already started compiling records from the past 2 years. You'll have everything you need before the meeting." As she left, Cashen's mind spun between the cold logic of his plan and the painful echoes of memories, shared breakfasts, whispered promises. Laughter now faded into the past, but each recollection only steeled his resolve further. He turned back to the neatly organized folder on his desk, scanning the figures and transactions with surgical precision, as if every number was a piece of evidence in a trial where he had already determined the outcome. Marigold returned shortly with a fresh cup of coffee and a concise update. "Sir, I've cross-checked the bank transfers. The funds are now safely in your personal account. I've flagged everything for easy reference." Cashen gave a brief nod of approval. "Excellent work, Marigold. Make sure the new locks are activated immediately if Isidora dares step near the house. I won't tolerate any more surprises." Their exchange was brief, but beneath the words lay a heavy tension, a quiet acknowledgement of the betrayal, loss, and the inevitable retribution that was now set in motion. Cashen felt a grim satisfaction in the precision of his plans. Even as his chest tightened with a mix of sorrow and cold determination, each step he took carved out a future that would be entirely free of the woman who had once been his partner. With Quentin's instructions clear in his mind and Marigold's diligent updates reinforcing his every move, Cashen steeled himself for the impending legal battle, a battle that would sever the last ties to Isidora and allow him to rebuild from the rubble she had left behind. Later that afternoon, as Cashen returned home from the office, the air was thick with the weight of the day. The dimming light of dusk hung heavily over the house, the hum of streetlights underscoring the shift in his life. He was barely through the foyer when the sound of shattering glass ripped through the silence. His heart rate quickened as he rushed toward the noise. In the living room, the scene before him was chaos. Glass from expensive vases and shattered wood littered the floor, a stark contrast to the pristine order he had so carefully maintained. The security cameras had recorded every moment. In the center of the wreckage stood Isidora, eyes wild, her movements frantic as she tore through drawers and overturned objects. The room bore the marks of her fury: broken lamps, scattered belongings, and a vase she had flung to the floor. Cashen's voice was cold as ice when he stepped into the room. "Isidora, stop," he commanded, unwavering. "There's no need for this." Her voice, trembling with bitter defiance, cut through the tension. "I won't let you erase my memory. I'm taking back what's mine." Another vase crashed to the floor as she spoke, the sound echoing through the room. For a moment, they locked eyes, hers burning with rage and despair, his calculating, steely. Cashen's mind raced, absorbing every detail: her trembling hands, the shattered remnants of a life once shared, now reduced to a mess of anger and destruction. "I don't want your possessions," he said, his tone a cold monotone that sliced through the chaos. "What I want is control over this situation and my future. You're not part of that anymore." Isidora's face twisted, her pride wounded beyond words. "You think you can lock me out? You think some locks and legal papers will undo everything?" she spat, her voice cracking, fighting back tears of rage. Cashen's eyes hardened. "I'm doing what's necessary," he said, his voice calm, almost too calm. "The new locks are in place. I won't risk another surprise." He paused, his gaze steady, like a predator sizing up its prey. "Every move you make now only strengthens my case." The quiet hum of the security system in the background was a constant reminder. Each impulsive action, every broken object, was being documented, a digital record of her unraveling. As he spoke, Cashen reached for his phone and dialed Quentin's number, his fingers steady as he briefed his attorney on the latest developments. He knew the security footage would be crucial in court. It would paint a vivid picture of the restraining order breach. Later, when the police arrived, they meticulously documented the damage, taking detailed statements and photographs of the wreckage. Cashen stood off to the side, his expression unreadable, absorbing the unfolding legal drama with a mixture of satisfaction and a quiet, reluctant sorrow. Each broken item, each discarded possession, was evidence, not just of Isidora's rage, but of her unraveling sanity. To him, this descent only justified every action he had taken. As the officers led Isidora away for questioning, she shot him one final, venomous glare. "You've lost," she hissed, her voice echoing through the hollow silence of the room. Cashen's reply was measured. "I see, I'm merely reclaiming what was always mine." The cold finality in his tone left no room for debate. In that moment, the raw collision of emotion and strategy reached its zenith. Isidora's outburst, immortalized on film, would become the cornerstone of Cashen's legal strategy, a strategy not only designed to sever the ties to his past but to clear the path for his carefully constructed future. The days that followed were marked by the calm of execution. Cashen's meticulous plans unfolded as expected. In court, Isidora's outburst turned into irrefutable evidence. The judge, having reviewed the security footage and the police reports, issued a permanent restraining order and mandated restitution for every destroyed piece of property. The courthouse in downtown Chicago had the sterile air of finality as Cashen faced Isidora across a table in the brief hearing. The judge outlined the terms. Isidora would pay for damages, cover the cost of dry cleaning Cashen's ruined belongings, and remain a mere shadow in his life until the divorce was finalized. Cashen's eyes were cold, but a small spark of satisfaction flickered as he listened to the legal rulings. After the hearing, Quentin, his childhood friend turned lawyer, approached in the courthouse corridor. "Cashen, you've done it," Quentin said quietly. "Legally, you're untouchable now. Everything is on your side." Cashen only nodded, his thoughts already shifting toward the next phase. "Thank you, Quentin. It's not just about winning in court. I need to ensure my life is free from the chaos she brought into it." Later that week, Cashen returned home, a fortress now sealed by newly installed locks, and Marigold met him at the door. "Mr. Boss, there's someone here to see you, a gentleman waiting in the foyer." Reluctantly, Cashen entered the dimly lit entrance hall. There, standing with an air of quiet regret, was a man dressed sharply, a man who, though a stranger to Cashen, carried an unmistakable weight of familiarity. "Cashen," the man began, his voice carrying an apologetic undertone, "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." The man introduced himself as Silas Mercer, a former confidant of Isidora's, and, to Cashen's shock, her secret lover. Their affair had been buried under layers of lies. "I'm here because I have something for you." Silas reached into his coat pocket and produced an envelope, crisp and pristine. "Inside is a cashier's check," he said. "Consider it your half of the winnings, the fortune you never had to split." Cashen's brow furrowed as he took the envelope, his pulse quickening. "What do you mean, half of the winnings?" Silas explained that amidst his fallout with Isidora, he had held on to a lottery ticket she had once prized, a ticket that had hit the jackpot. "I kept it all this time," Silas said. "Now I think it's only fair you get a share. After all, you paid the price for her betrayals." A swirl of conflicting emotions passed through Cashen, disbelief, amusement, and a cold satisfaction, as he opened the envelope, revealing the substantial check. A slow, bitter smile crept across his face. "You've done well, Silas," Cashen said, his voice steady. "It seems even the universe has a way of paying me back." Silas's eyes softened with an apologetic glimmer. "I never wanted you to be collateral damage in this twisted affair," he said quietly. "I just hope this can, in some small way, set things right." Later that afternoon, Cashen returned to his sleek office, the weight of the past slowly dissipating. With the divorce finalized, a standard no-fault split, he had retained control over his finances and future. Isidora was now legally out of his life, and he had refinanced his home, ensuring every asset was protected under his name alone. The chaos had passed, but the future felt more solid than ever. Marigold's steady presence remained, a comforting reminder that, despite everything, a new beginning was within reach. Their occasional exchanges were professional, yet there was an undercurrent of something more unspoken, a quiet promise of something beyond the workplace. As Cashen sat back in his study one crisp evening, the check from Silas resting beside his organized documents, he allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. He had weathered the storm with icy precision, turning heartbreak into a weapon. In doing so, he had not only reclaimed his wealth but, more importantly, his identity. The scars of betrayal would linger, but they now marked the path that had led him to freedom. Cashen secured his front door, glancing once more at the now vanquished forces that had once tried to tear him apart. A small, knowing smile curled on his lips. "Enjoy your weekend in Los Angeles," he murmured, his voice dripping with finality. "It's supposed to be stunning, no matter what." And with that, the final chapter closed. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, be sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here, or haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every week, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.